Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Drumline from 2002. And this is a winner of the Patreon movie review vote. If you would like for me to review a movie of your choice, then click on the link below and pledge, and maybe I'll be reviewing your movie next month. And this winner was selected by Jordan Bouchard. I sort of missed this movie when it originally came out. I was actually in my freshman year of college at the time, and this is about your freshman year of college, although I went to film school and Nick Cannon's character of Devin went to school for marching band, so not exactly the same, but I kind of thought of it more as a film for like high school and stuff. Clearly I knew nothing about it. I was not sure if this was voted on in the movie review vote as a joke or something. I was like a little lost on the whole thing. I was like, what's the deal with this movie? And I was actually pleasantly surprised by this. It's actually a really very good coming of age film, particularly about your freshman year of college, which I think for some people was rough. Mine was a little rougher, I think, than most. This is definitely the toughest year of college for me. So I totally get kind of getting into the systems and stuff like that. Although this doesn't really get into the general sense, I do think it is a good coming of age film that kind of explores more of, like, in a sense, much like the Karate Kid does, where it's like, not just about that you're better, it's that you're growing with the knowledge and maturing with the knowledge that you are gaining and becoming, quote unquote, a better person along the way. And I think this film does that really, really well. It's very much a studio kind of mid-budget thing. I know everyone complains about those aren't around anymore, but when those were around, this movie was made, very much made in that very Hollywood way. This is very much a studio coming-of-age film, but it's really great at it, to be honest with you. I was often surprised how captivated I was as someone who never cared about marching band at all. So much so that, like, the antagonist in this film is Morris Brown. I realized while I was watching, I was like, isn't that an Outkast song? And I was like, oh, that's what the Outkast song is named after. Oh, and they play on the Outkast song. I'm sure nobody remembers the song from the Outkast album that seemingly no one likes and everyone forgets about. But I think this is a film that made me actually interested in someone like Nick Cannon, which I didn't think it would ever be. This very much surprised me at how good it was, how good it is at telling its kind of mid-budget Hollywood studio system kind of story, but how good it is at telling kind of a coming-of-age film and understanding, like, the kind of glory in seeing someone not just like mount their fears and take on the big enemy or big thing in the end, but also show the antagonist kind of growing through it and becoming the person that you kind of hoped they would end up being at the beginning of the movie. Devin, who is kind of a hotshot drummer in New York, as he goes to Atlanta A&T University, who is not as cool apparently as Morris Brown University. I think A&T is fictional. Morris Brown is real. I know that because it's the Outkast song. A&T is fake. It's not real. So that's cool. He is going there to be a part of the Drumline in the marching band, who is a big deal. They're the marching band team, and they're going to go against Morris Brown in the BET Classic, which is kind of the end of the year thing that they're all building up to. But in the meantime, he has to get better at marching band and be a part of the Drumline. So how he has to give up sort of almost his individuality or his kind of like big ego hot-headedness to be a part of this band, which is run by the band director, played by Orlando Jones, in a very different kind of role for him, which I thought he was really great at, honestly, as well as deal with the kind of head of the Drumline, Leonard Roberts, who definitely does not like this hotshot coming in, and as well as he's falling in love with very young Zoe Saldana, and he goes through everything from actually learning to read music, dealing with the ins and outs of college life, to eventually the big BET Classic as the finale, of course. Two things that I guess I sort of knew this is that AJ and Free from 106 and Park are in this, in the BET Classic part. I always liked them because I watched 106 and Park when I was a kid, particularly in like 2000, around right before I went to college and this came out. I was watching them, and that was a great countdown show. They'd actually play the videos, and I always liked them. I thought they deserved a lot more respect for what they got, but it was cool seeing them again. This was actually directed by Charles Stone III. This is, I guess, his first film. It came out the same year as Paid in Full, so I'm a little confused on which was shot first and which came out first and all that stuff. But he is most known to me, actually, before this, as the guy who made those Bud Light commercials where he's like, "What's up?" and all that. That's the best way to describe with those. And I remember actually at the time seeing a lot of interviews where he was saying he wants to use that commercial to get into filmmaking and become a director. And I was always like, oh, I hope that works out for him. But I never remembered his name at the time. And it's cool. All these years later, I'm finally seeing his first movie, even though it came out like 2 years after that. But I always thought that was like cool that like he had this whole plan and like stuff. So it was kind of cool to see him make a movie, and very much a studio film. This is very, works in the way studio films do. It's a very tight film. I'd say all of the various like weird side avenues go somewhere, and it's very well built and well constructed. I think there's not a lot of directors who can not only do that but make it sing the way he does in this, and get some really good performances by people I never thought could give performances like this. Particularly like Orlando Jones is like really, really good in this, and surprising. I know him from like the Sprite commercials and doing funny stuff, but like this was not something I would have expected from him, and I thought he was fucking excellent in this. Like, he should honestly get more roles that show off his range, because this is pretty fucking incredible. As well as Nick Cannon, who I'm not really familiar with him outside of like celebrity stuff and stuff like that, but like he did a really good job in this. I was really surprised by like how good he was at like the cockiness. I kind of, that what didn't surprise me, but when he's able to kind of look inward and stuff and kind of have those big character moments. A lot of these films, like, I think when you look at these films, like, I know I brought up Karate Kid, but like Ralph Macchio, like even like Mark Hamill or something in Star Wars, or probably seen a bunch of these. I can think of like the Happy Years with the guy from Quantum Leap in it, but unless you get someone who can really look inward and you can see that as an audience, as they're looking inward, as they're concentrating, and can project that, I thought Nick Cannon did that actually excellently well. I don't think this film would work as well without him. As well as Zoe Saldana in the same year as Britney Spears' Crossroads, which is pretty incredible. That this is way before all the sci-fi shit, so I think that's pretty cool. I wish I kind of, part of me is like, wish I had seen this in 2002, because I'm definitely looking at this as like to me, she's like Gamora and in Avatar and like all these things, and like I kind of wish I could have seen her more as just like the girl who was in Crossroads and stuff. As well as Leonard Roberts, who I don't know as well, but I thought he was really good. Also kind of like an antagonist against Nick Cannon's character. I also like how this wraps up everything in terms of legacy and giving up things, and even like there's a strong fucking scene with his father who's in a subway kind of subway booth that like really shook me, to be honest with you. I thought it was like that could have really come off as really cheesy and corny, and then it like eventually the stuff with his father like sort of comes back in a way, and I think it shows you can't repeat the mistakes of the past while also analyzing the past, which is something like I did not expect this movie to do. There's a lot of kind of interesting little layers, but at the same time it is a silly coming of age thing. There's like his friend who wants to be kind of, I guess it's like like the bass drum or something, I don't know, he's in, who got challenged and has to come back. There's all these like kind of interesting ideas in this, which I kind of really respect about this film. I think it takes on a lot that you wouldn't necessarily think it would. Like there's certain scenes where like, even if the character makes the right call, like just entertaining those interesting ideas, I think is a lot more than you'd expect from a lot of these kind of coming of age films, particularly the studio ones. It was kind of, there was a thing where like he almost goes to Mars Brown, and like you realize it's kind of fucked up, and he like backs away. I thought that was interesting. Even the thing with his dad, I don't know, I do go back and forth about like using like the old school and the new school and the compromises and everyone working as one. I think that is something like that is different about college and high school, because in high school you can all be individuals, and in college, particularly when you're all working on a group project, it's far more intense than high school ever could be. And I think this really works well showing that, to be honest with you. I do think it's like a film like was probably not weird enough for me at the time, but it's probably a film I probably should have. I probably would have dug it, but I'm like, I probably needed this at the time. Especially, I think it was like a month or so after 8 Mile, and I think that sort of does what this does, which also I think Eminem does a similar thing to Nick Cannon does in this. This is a very solid movie, and I sort of don't understand why it's not remembered a little better, because it's just so tight in its construction, so tight in what it's doing. And sure, it is about a kid in a drum line, and maybe that's not a thing, marching bands are a thing people really give a shit about, but I was kind of very moved by it, very surprised by it, and that was fun. I I see a lot of different kinds of movies, but I do like kind of being surprised and taken to a world I otherwise would never go to. I think that is honestly one of the greatest things about art and how we communicate and stuff like that. And to go to an all-black marching band, which probably was not a thing I ever think about, like literally ever. In fact, I didn't know who Morris Brown was, and the biggest celebrities to me in this were AJ Free. If your filmmaking is strong and if your storytelling is strong and you get a real fantastic piece of work, you can able to pass that kind of story on and get people to hear a story they otherwise wouldn't. And that's what this film did for me. I thought it was really cool. It's just definitely belongs in the canon of like great coming of age films. We don't really, you know, I don't know if we make those as much as we used to, but in terms of like construction and how well made it was, this was pretty remarkable and pretty surprised me, and like a really good performance by Orlando Jones. Why are we utilizing it? I know it was 20 years ago, but I'm still like, he was really good. I don't doubt Nick Cannon at all. I think he was in a Spike Lee movie. I should probably watch that at this point. But I think Drumline kind of shows you what you understand about getting into a creative project with a lot of people and understanding how to get it to work for everyone, not just yourself, not just creatively to show you're the greatest. And as much as like specifically culture in that time, and I think still now, projects that onto you, that is not the greatest way to do a project or work with other people and to show you're the best. You shouldn't focus on you're the best. You should focus on making the best piece of art or performance or whatever it is together. And I think that's ultimately what this film shows. You know, it's not like Karate Kid or 8 Mile in a sense, because those are about those singular people doing a talent, just them. And that was the point of those films, and I'm not knocking them necessarily. But I think what Drumline shows that those don't is it shows that them working together, like Nick Cannon's character of Devin knows he can't just be the hotshot in New York who, you know, could do all sorts of fun drum shit and stuff like that. He can do that, but he has to bring it to them, to the school, so they can all win together. It isn't just about the band director. It isn't just about him. It isn't just about that. It's about all of it and all the scope of it. And I thought that was actually really cool. We don't do enough stuff that like kind of utilizes, you know, working together as well as this film does. And I think there's kind of a glory and a magic to things like that that I think this film really shows, even if it is shown through the eye of a singular protagonist for the most part. I think it is able to project that and show you how it is good to work together and the amazing things we can all do if we are able to do that. So if you have seen Drumline and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to. And this was a winner of the Patreon movie review vote. If you would like for me to review a movie of your choice, then click on the link below and pledge, and maybe I'll be reviewing your movie next month. Thank you very much for watching.